Hi, this is Myra with Boutique Paint. Today we're going to be working with a few new products, one of them being our new Take Me to Church stencil. It's a two-piece stencil. It's got the base of the church and then a couple different style windows. And then on this page you have the door and the windows. And then you can do either this little circle floor piece, or you can do this one up here, or you can do this one. We designed it to really be able to mix and match what you're wanting to do. And then we've got the cross that you can put on the top, or you could put it here. And then these little guys, these are our doorknobs. And so once you get the doors on, which are these, then you'll come back and you'll put the doorknobs on. And then we added a few trees. So we're going to be using this, and then we're also going to be using just one part, but we're going to be using the Portobello Road, which is the new IOD 2023 Christmas release. And we're only going to be using this little guy here, but there are so many fabulous pieces to this, and this is a limited release. I think this is something that you will use forever. It is just such a great stamp set. It's just got so many fabulous elements. You can do the houses, you can do little scenes. So don't wait, because then next year you're going to say, oh, wait a minute, I should have picked that up. Just pick it up now. So we're going to get started by using the largest of the IOD artboards. And I'm going to spray it down with a little bit of water. And I kind of want to blend. So I want kind of some sky up here, but maybe it's been snowing. Maybe not. Maybe you just want greenery. I don't know. But I'm going to start with a little bit of Bohemian Blue DIY paint. And the reason why I sprayed the board first is because I wanted it being that it is unfinished wood. The paint just kind of sucks right in. And I'm going to use two brushes here. I don't know what I did with my other brush, but I'm going to dip this into some white. Put some up here. And I'm going to knock everything over, and then I'm going to spray. And basically what I'm wanting to do is to kind of blend the colors. Just so that there's a background on this. Spray a little bit more water. Then I think I'm going to just add a little bit more blue, and I'm going to spray the brush itself. Need a little bit more white. So this way, having the white at the bottom, you can have it kind of, your snowy ground, and then a little bit of blue. You could do grays instead, having it a little bit of gray skies. I'm just wanting to blend. Or you could just paint it all one color too. I thought it would be nice just to have a little bit of background color. And then we'll let this get dried up before we do the next step, so that our stencil glue will stick to the board. And I'm using DIY's Swan White and Bohemian Blue on this. All right. I think I'll let that dry. And then we can move on. So next we're going to mix up some salt wash into some of our paint. These stencils are 10 mil, and they're designed so that you can either just use paint or you can use raised medium in it. And you can use the salt wash, or you could use the DIY paint frosting to thicken things up, whichever your preferred product is. So it's basically, this is a little thicker than I would normally make it, but it's pretty stiff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put our stencil down. I already have the stencil glue on this. So some of my glue was not dry yet up here. I usually hit it with the hairdryer, and I had just set it aside to let it dry naturally, and it was still wet. So when I put it down here, it made a wet spot on my paint. So I kind of went over it, took it off and went over it again with the paint after wiping it off with a baby wipe. I taped these because I didn't want to get any of the mixture in these little windows. So I just taped them off. And I'm just going to take some of this, I'm just going to lay it down. And then I have my IOD paint blade. And I'm just going to, and this is a little thicker than I would really want it, but I'm just going to go ahead and go with it. You usually want it the consistency of frosting or maybe peanut butter. This is just a smidge thicker. It will still work. And basically you want as smooth a lines as you can pretty much get. You can always sand down in between. Once it's dried, you can sand it down a little bit. Under normal circumstances, I'm going to go ahead and add texture with the Portobello Road Stamp. So it's not going to matter quite as much. I'm just trying to get this smooth. I got a little bit of a chunky there, so I'm going to pull that out. And then, so next what I want to do is I want to stamp inside the stencil. So I'm going to go ahead and use some black IOD ink. I'm going to stamp this up. You're just going to push, and you want to get the edges up to the edges here. And it makes this nice little texture. The in between each one of your stamps, you're going to want to clean it off so that you don't goober your stamp pad. The other thing you could do is use a little bit of ink with the roller, and then you could probably clean it up every other stamping. And there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and lift this off, and then I'm going to dry it with the hairdryer on medium to low heat because I don't want cracking to happen. If you dry it on too high of a heat, you will get cracking. If that's what you want, then do it, absolutely. And then we will add the next elements. I have this placed where I want to have it, and I am going to use this as my center at the top, but like I said, you can use any one of these elements up there. You could even put your cross here. And then I've got my windows. And so what I did is I mixed up a little bit of prairie gray, a little bit of swan white, and then I also mixed in some of the salt wash. I think I'm just going to put a smidge more. And I'm going to go over the top of all of this. I think I'm going to use a smaller paint blade. I'm just going to plop it right there in the middle. And the reason why you didn't have to worry about, stamping over where the doors are going to be is because you're going to cover it over with the paint. So you don't have to worry about that. I didn't want these too dark brown, so that's why I mixed it with a little bit of white. And you could do this, I kind of had, when I saw the new Portobello stamp, first thing I thought of was, oh, this would be awesome with this. And I'm hoping, I saw a little bit of lift, I'm hoping that my stencil will stay in place and not lift off and get product underneath because it is textured. But I saw it and I just thought, oh, that would be so much fun to do with this stencil. But if you don't want a stone looking stencil, you could probably use some barnwood maybe on it as an idea for I kind of envision this as a European old stone church. But if you want a more American, maybe Midwest, West Coast look where we didn't have as much stonework, to make it look more wood, you could even take like an edge and just kind of put lines in there to give it the illusion of wood. And you always want to go straight up. There we go. I'm going to dry this and then I'm going to clean this up so that when I put it back down, none of this product gets up here or anyplace else. Next, I want to put the cross on top, and I am kind of sinking it down just because this board isn't as tall as maybe I'd want it. You could also flip the whole thing and put it on the board, but I wanted some area to the sides of this, so that's why I did this orientation. And get a fair amount on there. Once again, lift straight up. So I'm going to place this down to do the knobs, and I'm just going to eyeball it here a little bit. And I'm just going to use a little bit of white. And what I'll probably do is at the end is I will probably put a little bit of gold onto it just to make it stand out a little bit more. So at this point, in between letting everything dry, I'm just going to take a paintbrush with a little bit of the white, and then I'm going to come, and hopefully my hand's not too shaky, and just kind of come in here and clean up these lines. And then I had a little bit of bleed through of the blue, so I'm just going to dot in here. From this point, you can add whatever embellishments you want. You could do some trees. You could take this wonderful stamp again and take some of the, got everything stuck together here. You could do, you know, some vines. You could stamp some vines up the building. You could put this gal right here coming to church. There's just so much that you could add to this. So just use your imagination. This is the base of it. I think what I'm going to do is I am going to add some trees, and I think I do want them raised. And so I think I will mix up some green with some salt wash so I can add some of those. So I did not glue up this tree, but I'm going to go ahead and just hold it in place and hope for the best. I always do recommend that you use glue on the backs. It just does really help, but we're just gonna, for the sake of time, lift straight up. I think I'm gonna have it just like that. And lift it up. So I dried these a little bit, and I think I want to add another tree, and I might even overlap a smidge. Get my smaller one. And make sure while you're waiting for pieces to dry to be cleaning up your stencil, your paint blades, or whatever you're using to spread. I like the paint blades because they're so easy to clean. Being that little popsicle stick here. I'm just trying to add a little bit of texture to the tree, because I think I will add some snow once this is dry. And you can do this also once it's dry. You can let it dry and then kind of get a feel for it, of how you might want to add. But I really, really like how that turned out. It's definitely giving it a 3D feel. So I think now I will take a little bit of this. Maybe not quite that much. Oop! And then I drop some right on my board. I think since this is a smaller tree, I'm going to grab a toothpick. And I'm just trying to mimic the branches going up where the texture would be. So while I'm waiting for these to finish drying, I'm going to take this, and hopefully it's not, no, but still pretty pliable. I think I'm just going to come along here and add just a little bit of snow texture. I don't want to blend it into the church, because I definitely want definition between the church and the bottom of the board. I think I want it a little bit heavier over here. This is starting to set up a bit. It just gives it a little bit of extra. And then here, what I'm going to do, even though this isn't dry, I'm going to go ahead and get in there and do it. Is I'm just going to take chunks of it. I might do the same thing I did. Use the toothpick and just kind of put a little bit of snow on these branches. So because I like the look of this, of it being a little bit more, a little bit of the dark green and a little bit of the lighter green as it's drying, I think I want to add some of that. So I've just taken a little bit of green, and which is the aviary, and some of black, and that's a little too, well, we'll see. Yeah, it's kind of a little dark, but I'm just going to go in while it's still wet, and I can kind of see with the brush where those dark spots are, and just add a little bit of the dark. So I just put it to the side like that, and then I just use my finger and get it in there, and there we go. That's much better. I like the way that stands out. All right, so now I'm going to let this all dry. And if you wanted to, you could add, you know, a stencil across the top, or you could stamp across the top a Merry Christmas, or if you just want to leave it more generic, less holiday, or do you just want to leave it more winter, you could just do that. But you could certainly add something up in here, but I think this is where I'm personally going to stop on this one. If you have any questions about any of the products I used, you can go to our website at www.boutiquepaint.com. And thanks again for joining me. Bye.